We're about to do next video production. This is a redo of a piece I put together 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. It's called R. Kelly and the Scapegoat Ritual. We about to do this. I got some shit to talk. Okay, so we have R. Kelly, known as king, one of the kings of R&B. He's arguably the GOAT, the greatest of all time, so to speak. He got a song called Greatest of All Time. So I'm really just referencing GOAT symbolism with him because he's Capricorn. Today's his birthday, along with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It's January 8th. Robert Sylvester Kelly, born January 8th, 1967, known as R. Kelly, is an American former singer, songwriter, record producer. Okay. So we got the Capricorn, the GOAT, right? Now, how are goats viewed anciently for sacrifice? That's what we'll be dealing with because it's the scapegoat ritual.
My time, my patience, my love, my blood, my sweat, my tears.
What's going on? Everything we're doing is for your own good. Please.
My money, my homes, my ups, my downs, my fears, and my hours, my work, my strength, my fault, my this, my that. Nigga, please, if you don't stop, someone's gonna lay in your bed, and someone's gonna eat your food, and someone's gonna wear your clothes, and someone's gonna fit your shoes, and someone's gonna get your keys, and someone's gonna open your door, someone's gonna get you.
Once the spirit has entered, put my hand upon the arm. Do you understand? Yes. I force the spirit of the Lamia into the goat. Milosh, that's when you strike.
Sí, Titichko.
Así fuerte como te enseñé.
I understand.
I'm shaking my sleep, my stress, my days, my nights, my rest, my do's, my don'ts, my debts, and
We
my
almost
church,
finished.
my pastor, my prayers, my own, my faith, my vows, and my healing, my strength, my clouds, my joy, my sad, my hate, and my sister, my cousin, my friend.
Yeah, what is it you
My
desire?
lights, my gas, my bills,
The soul of Christine Brown. We will face the party as she passed us on the grave.
It was my manager, Jen. He was supposed to
Lamia, surely you can be dissuaded from taking this insignificant woman. Surely she's not worthy of your greatness.
and someone's gonna wear your clothes, and someone's gonna fit your shoes, and someone's gonna get your keys, and someone's gonna open your door, someone's gonna get your check. This is a woman's thread.
You black-hearted
My flowers, my dress, my ring, my man, my king, my life, my chance, my goods, my punch, my ring, my
the basic modern definition for scapegoat. A person who is blamed for the wrongdoings, mistakes, or faults of others, especially for reasons of expediency. And two, in the Bible, a goat sent into the wilderness after the Jewish chief priest had symbolically laid the sins of the people upon it. You can see that's what we're dealing with. Yom Kippur, the ancient Hebrews would sacrifice a goat for God and lead another one over whom all the sins of Israel had been confessed into the wilderness to beat the sins of the people away. The ceremony described in Leviticus, where it is said that one lot should be cast for God and one for Azazel. Modern scholars usually interpret Azazel in the Hebrew as being the name of a demon living in the desert. But ancient biblical translations thought Azazel referred to the goat itself. Goat that departs. Azazel means goat that departs. Thus, in the 6th century English translation, the word for Azazel, the goat, was rendered as scapegoat. That is, goat that escapes. The extended senses of scapegoat we use today evolved from this biblical use. Okay. The extended senses of scapegoat we use today evolved from this biblical use. Now, we're going to go through the scapegoat ritual. Now, renowned artist and scholar A.A. Rashid explains in his monumental work, Dog Star Hip Hop, he goes into explaining the rites of extispicy using, anciently is commonly used using goats and oxen, but we dealing with goats. The brother A.A. Rashid explains, we worship the goat of Capricorn, the worker, when it is in prominence during Christmas time. The sacrifice of certain animals was in accord with a desire to join the energies of heaven and earth. Okay, now, goats were commonly used for sacrifices and rituals to control the forces surrounding specific event horizons. This is Dog Star Hip Hop Volume 1. The notion of a goat sacrifice sharing roots with all known religions scares the novice and dilettante thinker. The biblical Hebrew word for goats is rooted in what translators say means counsel because of the practice of animal sacrifice and liver reading, and extispicy. Reading the liver of a sacrificed sheep or goat was so widely used that diagrams of how to diagnose omen readings were recorded on clay figures of sheep liver. Now, even the lancing of the Christ figure in his side was symbol of the extispicy ritual to view the liver. So Christ is the goat, the Capricorn, and it's the same thing, because we're going to go over that to show how about the myth of the dying God and how Christ is used as a goat for sacrifice. Now, in this book I got called The Golden Bow, Scapegoats, Evil Expelled in a Material Vessel. Okay, we now come to the second class of expulsions, in which the evil influences are embodied in a visible form, or at least supposed to be loaded upon a material medium, which acts as a vehicle to draw them off from the people, village, or town. In spring, as soon as the willow leaves are full grown on the banks of the river, the Mandan Indians celebrate their great annual festival, one of the features of which was the expulsion of the devil. A man painted black to represent the devil entered the village from the prairie, chased and frightened the women, and acted the part of a buffalo bull in the buffalo dance, the object of which was to ensure a plentiful supply of buffalo during the ensuing year. Finally, he was chased from the village, the women pursuing him with hisses, gibes, beating him with sticks, and pelting him with dirt. More often, however, the expelled demons are not represented at all, but are understood to be present invisibly in the material and visible vehicle which conveys them away. Now, you got evil expelled in animals. Often the vehicle which carries away the collected demons or ills of a whole community is an animal or scapegoat. When cholera rages among the Bars, Malans, and Kermis of India, they take a goat or buffalo. In either case, the animal must be a female and as black as possible. And then, having tied some grain clothes and red lead and a yellow cloth on his back, they turn it out of the village. The animal is conducted beyond the boundary and not allowed to return. Sometimes the buffalo is marked with a red pigment and driven to the next village where he carries the plague with him. Now, evil expelled in human beings. Occasionally, the scapegoat is a man. Some of the Aboriginal tribes of China, for example, select a man of great muscular strength to act the part of a scapegoat as a protection against pestilence. Having smeared his face with paint, he performs many antics with the view of enticing all pestilential and noxious influences to attach themselves to him only. He is assisted by a priest. Finally, the scapegoat, hotly pursued by men and women beating gongs and tom-toms, is driven with great speed out of the town or village, or society in our case. When disease breaks out among a herd, the Orons take the herdsman, tie a wood bell from one of the cows around his neck, beat him with sticks, and drive him out of the village to a crossroad where the bell sticks are deposited. See, these are examples of the ancient practices of scapegoat rituals. So you understand the idea is to put all the sins and ills on a person. See, we're going to go into the story of Jesus and Barabbas in a minute. Periodic and divine scapegoats. Human scapegoats were always used in classical antiquity. This is the Golden Bowl by Sir James George Fraser and Dr. Theodore H. Gaster. It's edited with notes and foreword by Dr. Theodore H. Gaster, and the classic work by Sir James Fraser. This is a book about just ancient rites of magic. Ancient magical rituals. Now back to scapegoats. Fraser lumps together scapegoats and surrogates, but they should be distinguished and designated by separate names. A surrogate is any substitute for the person or persons performing a rite or for whose benefit it is performed. Such surrogates are designed to disencumber him or them of unpleasant ritual or legal obligations. They figure, for instance, in rites designed to remove sickness and do not necessarily involve the factor of sin. A scapegoat, on the other hand, is an animal or a human being used in public ceremonies to remove the taint or impairment. Hold on, let me say this again so you can get it. A scapegoat is an animal or human being used in public ceremonies to remove the taint or impairment consequent upon sin, which for one reason or another cannot be settled upon a particular individual. Such a scapegoat is a means of cleansing a community of a collective stain which cannot be wiped out by normal procedure of individual penitence, restitution, and reform. The execution or dispatch of it is always and necessarily accompanied by a blanket public confession. Its purpose is not, as in the case of surrogates, to transfer punishment or discomfort, but to remove from the body politic any pollution or disaster responsibility for which cannot be precised. Animal scapegoats and antiquities. See, these are the notes. Human scapegoats. I need to say that again. A scapegoat is an animal or human being used in public ceremonies to remove the taint or impairment consequent upon sin, which for one reason or another cannot be saddled upon a particular individual. Such a scapegoat is a means of cleansing a community of collective sin, which cannot be wiped out by the normal procedure of individual penitence, restitution, and or reform. Do you understand? Now, even the lancing of the Christ figure in his side was symbol of the extispicy ritual to view the liver. So Christ is the goat, the Capricorn, and it's the same thing, because we're going to go over that to show how about the myth of the dying God and how Christ is used as a goat for sacrifice. Going to the Holy Quran of the Morazan Symbol of America, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drali, by the guiding of his father, God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father, God Allah. Okay. Now we're going to go into chapter 15, 16. Pilate's final effort to release Jesus fails. He washes his hands in feigned innocence, delivers Jesus to the Jews for execution, and soldiers drive him to Calvary. Okay. So boom. It goes like this. A superstitious people are the Jews. They have a faith that they have borrowed from the idol worshippers of other lands, that at the end of every year they may heap all their sins upon the head of some man set apart to bear their sins. The man becomes a scapegoat for the multitudes, and they believe that when they drive him forth into the wilds or into foreign lands, they are released from their sins. So every spring before the feast, they choose a prisoner from the prisons of the land, and by a form of their own, they fain would make him bear their sins away. Among the Jewish prisoners in Jerusalem were 3 who were the leaders of a vile, seditious band, who had engaged in thefts and murders and rapine, had been sentenced to be crucified. Barabbas and Jizya were among the men who were to die, but Barabbas was rich and had bought off priests, the boon to be the scapegoat for the people at the coming feast, and he was anxiously in waiting for his hour to come. Read that part again. Barabbas and Jizya were among the men who were to die, but Barabbas was rich and had bought off the priest the boon to be the scapegoat for the people at the coming feast, and he was anxiously in waiting for his hour to come. So Barabbas paid to get out that situation. Now Pilate thought to turn the superstition to account to save the Lord Jesus. So he went before the Jews and said, "You men of Israel, according to my custom, I will release to you today a prisoner who shall bear your sins away. This man you drive into the wilds or in foreign lands, and you have asked me to release Barabbas, who have been proven guilty of the murder of a score of men. Now hear me, men. Let Jesus be released, and let Barabbas pay his debt upon the cross. Then you can send this Jesus to the wilds and hear no more of him." At what the ruler said, the people were enraged. They began to plot to tear the Roman palace down and drive in exile Pilate and his household and his guards. When Pilate was assured that civil war would follow, he heeded not to the wishes of the mob. He took a bowl of water, and in the presence of the multitude, he washed his hands and said, "This man whom you accuse is son of the Most High Allah, and I proclaim my innocence. If you would shed his blood is on your hands and not mine." And the Jews exclaimed, "Let his blood be on our hands and on our children's hands." And Pilate trembled like a leaf in fear. Barabbas he released, and the Lord stood forth before the mob. The ruler said, "Behold your king." And when you put to death your king, the Jews replied, he is no king. We have no king but great Tiberius. Now Pilate, now, oh, I can see the people there. Now Pilate could not give consent that Roman soldiers should imbue their hands in blood of innocents. And so the chief priests and the Pharisees took counsel what to do with Jesus. Caiaphas said, we cannot crucify this man. He must be stoned to death and nothing more. And then the rabble said, make haste. Let him be stoned. And then they led him forth toward the hill beyond the city gates, where criminals were put to death. The rabble could not wait until they reached the place of skulls. As soon as they had passed the city gates, they rushed upon him, smote him with their hands, and they spit upon him, stoned him, and he fell upon the ground. And one, a man of Allah, stood forth and said, Isaiah said, he shall be bruised for our transgressions, and his stripes by his stripes we shall be healed. As Jesus lay all bruised and mangled on the ground, the high priest called out, stay, you men. Behold, the guards of Herod come, and they will crucify this man. And there beside the city gates they found Barabbas' cross. Then the frenzied mob cried out, let him be crucified. Caiaphas and the other ruling Jews came forth and gave consent. And they lifted Jesus from the ground, and at that point, swords they drove on him. A man named Simon from Cyrene, a friend of Jesus, was near the scene and had sensed the bruised and wounded Jesus could not bear his cross. They laid it on the shoulders of this man and made him bear it to Calvary. Okay? So that's what they did to Jesus. And we're going harkening back on scapegoats being divine men. And now you probably don't like R. Kelly to be related to Jesus anyway, but we got to deal with that because you're dealing with a Capricorn and a goat. And with the same birthday of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who is a low-key accused of the same crimes. And we're going to go through that too. So now let's get into our subject, our scapegoat, R. Kelly. Robert Sylvester Kelly, born January 8th. Okay, we know R. Kelly's career. I'm going to do that. Now, what we do need to get into is early life. Robert Sylvester Kelly was born on the south side of Chicago, January 8th, Chicago, lying in hospital, now University of Chicago Medical Center, in the city's Hyde Park neighborhood. He has 5 siblings, 3 of whom are half. He have 5 siblings, 3 of whom are half siblings. 2 older sisters and a brother, along with a younger brother and sister. His mother, Joanne, was a school teacher and devout Baptist. She was born in Arkansas. The identity of his father, who was absent from R. Kelly's life and later raised 2 children. The identity of his father, who was absent from Kelly's life and later raised 2 children, is not known. His family lived in the Ida B. Wells Homes public housing project in the Black metropolis Bronzeville district of Chicago's Douglas neighborhood, also on the city's south side. Around the time he was 5 years old, Kelly's mother married his stepfather, Lucius, who reportedly worked for an airline. Kelly began singing in the church choir at age 8. And right after that, this is early life, we go right into trauma and abuse. You know, we got to go over this because I'm always like, well, why the male victims don't ever get no damn sympathy? You know what I'm saying? You just villains with no excuse. I mean, I ain't trying to make up no excuse, but nobody acknowledges. They say hurt people. And he said he ain't one of them people. Whatever. Let's go on to this. Kelly described having a girlfriend, Lulu, at age 8. In his autobiography, he stated that their last play date turned tragic when, after fighting with older children over a play area by a creek, she was pushed into the water, swept downstream by a fast-moving current, and drowned. Kelly called Lulu his first musical inspiration. Kelly said members of his household would act differently when his mother and grandparents were not home. This included highly provocative dress and behavior. Kelly stated that when he was 8, an adult woman in the household coerced him into photographing her while having intercourse with an adult male partner. So how old did they say he was? He was 8, and somebody was going to take pictures. So they was wilding in there. You know, we know I can go in some projects, you know what I'm saying, with no supervision. And people just mischievous and promiscuous. You know what I'm saying? They raising themselves. From age 8 to 14, he was often sexually abused by an older female family member. Kelly's younger brother, Kerry, stated that he suffered from years of sexual abuse at the hands of his older sister, Teresa, who was entrusted with babysitting their siblings. Kerry stated that although their older brother, Bruce, was spared and allowed to play outside, both he and Kelly were punished at separate times indoors by Teresa, who refused to acknowledge the abuse when confronted years later. See, that's biblical too. The Bible, just a side note, a lot of brothers nowadays talk about women and accountability and women not having accountability. Now, it's my belief or conviction rather that accountability is not for women. That's a man's thing. Accountability is for men. And you read the stories of the Bible, these is the lessons that are displayed. And looking in the Bible, women get away with everything. The women in the Bible get away with everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they might suffer a little bit, but it's mostly the man that suffer, and it's a lesson for the man. You dealing with Adam and Eve. You got to deal with what she did, you know, because you got to be responsible for her. You got to be accountable for the whole situation. Like, what's the name? Samson and Delilah. Delilah made off with the money. Like, she ran off with the bag. The Bible is about, don't think a woman gonna pay. You gotta pay, nigga. And you gonna pay dearly. Okay, so, Teresa, who refused to acknowledge the abuse when confronted years later. Boom. Explaining why he never told anyone, Kelly wrote in the 2012 autobiography, Solar Coaster, The Diary of Me, that he was too afraid and too ashamed. Around 10, Kelly was also sexually abused by an older male who was a friend of the family. I know that. Excuse me. In his autobiography, Kelly describes being shot in the shoulder at age 13 by boys who were attempting to steal his bike. Although a family friend claims his mother disputed this, stating that the gunshot was self-inflicted during the suicide attempt. What do you believe in that one? You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Well, yeah, that's his dark past. And in September 1980, Kelly entered Kenwood Academy in the city's Hyde Park, Kenwood district, where he met music teacher Lena McLean, who encouraged Kelly to perform Stevie Wonder's Ribbon in the Sky in the high school talent show. Asha Kelly put on sunglasses, was escorted onto the stage, performed the song, and was awarded first prize. McLean encouraged Kelly to leave the high school basketball team and concentrate on music. She said he was furious at first, but after his performance in the talent show, he changed his mind. Kelly was diagnosed with dyslexia, which left him unable to read or write. you can read it right with dyslexia. There's a little deeper issues. But Kelly dropped out of high school after attending Kenwood Academy for 1 year. He began performing in the subway on the Chicago L tracks. He regularly busked at the L stop on the Red Line's Jackson Station in the Loop. In his youth, Kelly played basketball for Illinois state champion basketball player Ben Wilson and later sang It's So Hard to Say Goodbye Yesterday at Wilson's funeral. Okay. Rest in peace. And during his recording career, Kelly sold over 75 million records worldwide, making him the most commercially successful male R&B artist of the 90s and one of the world's best-selling music artists. The GOAT. He won 3 Grammys for a song, I Believe I Could Fly. I Believe I Could Fly, and was nominated for his song You Are Not Alone, recorded by Michael Jackson. Critics dubbed him King of R&B. I say that along with Bobby Brown. It's R and B. R. Kelly and Bobby Brown. That's what I said. While he billed himself the Pied Piper of R&B. That was like his questionable defiance. He called himself the Pied Piper. I mean, he's going to lead all your motherfucking kids out. He going to lead all your motherfucking kids with the music. Since you don't want to pay him for getting rid of the rats. That's the story of the Pied Piper. You know what I'm saying? He got rid of the rats and they ain't want to pay him. So it's all right, I'm gonna get your kids. That nigga crazy. In 98, he launched his own record label, Rockland Records, and the distribution deal with Jimmy Iovine. The label's roster included Sparkle, Boo and Gotti, Talent, Vegas Cats, Lady, Frankie, Secret Weapon. See, that made Sparkle, Rockland Records' first signed artist, release her eponymous debut album. In addition to producing and writing the project, Kelly made a vocal contribution to the hit duet Be Careful. Let's get to it. In early 2000, Kelly received multiple awards reflecting his status as an established R&B superstar. In January 2000, he won Favorite Male Soul R&B Artist at the American Music Awards, and in February was nominated for several Grammy Awards, including Best Male R&B Vocal Performance, When a Woman's Fed Up, Best R&B Album, Best Rap Performance by a Duo, Satisfy You with P. Diddy. They don't understand you. On November 7, he released his fifth. On November 7, 2000, he released his 5th studio album, TP2.com, a project aligned with his breakthrough album, 12 Play. Unlike R, all songs on TP2.com were written, arranged, and produced by Kelly. All Music's Jason Berkshire gave 2P2.com 4 stars and stated Kelly knows how to take proven formulas and funnel them through his own stylistic aesthetic, which usually means slowing down the tempo, laying on lush choruses of strings and background vocals, taming down the lyrics for radio, and catering his pitch primarily to wistful women. See, in 2001, Kelly won the Outstanding Achievement Award at the Music of Black Origin, the MOBO Awards, and Billboard magazine ranked TP2.com number 94 magazine's top 200 albums of the decade. Kelly's song, The World's Greatest, from the soundtrack to the 2001 autobiography film Ali, was a hit. Oh, that's what I meant, The World's Greatest, when they say you get the song called The Greatest of All Time. But this album was dope. This album in 2000, at TP2.com, it was dope. And I think it was a special album. And then we see how special it was when you say he wrote the whole joint. Dyslexic, illiterate, and all. You know what I'm saying? He put his thing on that joint. Now, 2002, The Best of Both Worlds, and The Chocolate Factory, 2002 through 2003. Best of Both Worlds, The Chocolate Factory. That's what's just going down. And then he, The Best of Both Worlds got put on hold because he had the trial, the sex jump. Now, we're going to get into that. On February 8th, 2002. This the first time Kelly performed. No. He performed at the Winter Olympics. A week after a news scandal broke of a sex tape that appeared to show Kelly with an underage girl. That was February 2. Following the leak in the joint album. Now that's when I was talking about Sparkle. Okay, so this was February 3rd, 2002. A video began circulating allegedly depicting Kelly's sexual abuse of a girl known to be underage. Kelly, I remember Sparkle said, "That's my niece." And the niece was like, "That ain't me, bitch." Not trying to justify it or nothing, but how you gonna say, "That's my niece"? You asked the niece to come to court. Nah, bitch. You paid me. Anyway, on February 3rd, 2002, a video began circulating alleging sexual. The abuse included Kelly urinating on her. The video was released by an anonymous source, Sparkle, and sent to Chicago Sun-Times. The publisher broke the story February 8th, 2002, the same day Kelly performed at the opening ceremony of the 2002 Winter Olympics. Kelly has said in interviews that he was not the man in the video. In June 2002, Kelly was indicted Chicago on 21 counts of child pornography. The same month, on June 5th, 2002, Kelly was arrested by Miami Police Department on a Chicago arrest warrant at his Florida vacation home. He was released after one night in jail the following day after posting bail $7,500,000. While investigating the photographs reported on the Chicago Sun, Sheriff's Office searched Kelly's residence in Davenport, Florida. During the search, officers recovered 12 images of an allegedly underage girl on a digital camera, wrapped in a towel in a duffel bag, which allegedly depicted Kelly involved in sexual conduct with a female minor. According to Chicago Sun-Times, the girl in the images obtained from Kelly Florida home also appears in the videotape, resulting in the original indictment in Chicago. Police investigators from Polk County and Miami-Dade County arrested Kelly on January 22nd, 2003 at Miami's Wyndham Grand Bay Hotel for 12 counts of possession of child pornography. So he was arrested for possession of child pornography. You sure they ain't put that in? During the search, officers recovered 12 images of an allegedly underage girl on a digital camera wrapped in a towel in a duffel bag, which allegedly depicted Kelly involved in sexual conduct with a female model. I mean, he was hiding the shit. The alleged victim refused to testify at the trial, and Chicago jury found Kelly not guilty on all 14 counts of child pornography. In June 2008, Kelly's defense lawyer, Ed Ginson, later questioned the acquittal and Kelly's public proclamation of innocence. Now, don't forget this lurid past. Now, let's get to today. One thing I noticed is they always fuck with you after your birthday. Like, they got Jay-Z this year. They stopped fucking with Jay-Z after his birthday. I remember January 2019. I remember the day after his birthday in 2019. Lifetime began airing a 6-part documentary series titled Surviving R. Kelly, detailing sexual abuse and misconduct allegations against Kelly. Now, Jaguar said, not only Jaguar, but no joke. It was like, Dream Hampton used to mess with Jay-Z. Jay-Z funded all that. Writer for the LA Times, Lorraine Ali, observed that the series covered a range of in-depth interviews that paint a picture of a predator whose behavior was consistently overlooked by the industry, his peers, and the public, while his spiritual hit was sung in churches and schools. Paint a picture of a predator whose behavior was consistently overlooked by the industry, his peers, and the public, while his spiritual hit was sung in churches and schools. Writing for the LA Times, Lorraine Ali observed that the series covered a range of in-depth interviews that paint a picture of a predator whose behavior was consistently overlooked by the industry, his peers, and the public, while his spiritual hit was sung in churches. Within 2 weeks, Kelly launched a Facebook page where he sought to discredit the accusers who appeared in the docuseries. Facebook removed the page for violating their standards, and it appeared to contain personal contact information for his accusers. See, this nigga's like, he can't read and shit. He don't know what he doing online. This second season title, so motherfucker, if he hires somebody to do that, they sabotage him. The second season title, Surviving R. Kelly Part 2, The Reckoning, premiered on January 2, 2020. Between January 2nd and 3rd, 2023, the third and final season of Surviving R. Kelly submitted the final chapter aired. It was confirmed in the trailer uploaded to Lifetime YouTube account on December. Following the release of Survivor R. Kelly, Kelly was listed in Guinness World Records as the most searched for male musician on Google in 2019. He ranked 8th overall on Google's list of the 10 most searched for people of the year. You know what I'm saying? Then I remember in 2019, March 6, 2019, Gayle King interviewed Kelly on CBS This Morning. Kelly insisted on his innocence and blamed social media for the allegations. See, now, take this and let's look at this, a picture of scapegoats in antiquity. You know what I'm saying? They was really on his ass. Kelly insisted his innocence, blamed social media for allegations. During the interview, Kelly had an emotional outburst where he stood up, pounded his chest, and yelled, asked about King and John Legend and Lady Gaga, denounced him. Kelly called them not professional. Yeah, fuck John Legend, bitch ass. February 22nd, 2019, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office in Illinois charged Kelly with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. The charges allege that from 1998 to 2010, Kelly sexually abused 4 females, 3 of whom were teen minors at the time, with evidence including a video provided by Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti locked up too now, ain't he? Because this motherfucker's a fraud. He tried to commit... See, Michael Avenatti of an alleged new crime. After Kelly turned himself in the day the charges were announced, he was arrested by the Chicago Police Department and taken into custody. The judge set bond at $1 million and ordered Kelly to have no contact with anyone under 18 or the alleged victim. Kelly pleaded not guilty to all charges, which he called lies. He was released on bail after 3 nights at Cook County Jail. On January 30th, 2023, Cook County District Attorney's Office announced that several Illinois-specific charges against Kelly had been dropped due to him already being served justice and extensive federal sentences, preventing him from facing more prison time for state-related charges. Federal indictments and pretrial detention, 2019 through 2023. The first grand jury indictment from Eastern District of New York was handed down on June 20th, 2019. On July 11th, 2019, Kelly was arrested on federal charges alleging sex crimes and obstruction of justice by U.S. Homeland Security investigators and NYPD detectives in Chicago. A day later, following his rearrest, federal prosecutors from New York and Chicago indicted Kelly on 18 charges, including child sexual exploitation, child pornography production, sex trafficking, kidnapping, forced labor, racketeering, and obstruction of justice. A day later, following his rearrest, federal prosecutors from New York and Chicago indicted Kelly on 18 charges, including sexual... Now, they not talking about how that lady came on TV. What's her name? It's the lady came on TV and was like, we calling anybody to come forward if you got anything. And I was like, you can't do no shit like that. That was fucked up. They were like, if you They could lock a nigga up and say, yo, if you got anything, so you could just make up something and bring it. And they was with it. That we gonna look at that and see if we can use it. We got a lot of shit here. 2019 to 2013. I always said that. Following his rearrest on the first superseding indictment, the United States Attorney for Eastern District of New York filed a letter in support of permanent order of detention that previewed its case against Kelly. Judge Ticione denied bail on grounds of both dangerousness and flight risk. Kelly's lawyers requested and were denied a pretrial release on October 2019. His lawyers tried again to secure a pretrial release in 2020, citing that COVID-19 pandemic, the request was denied. Superseding indictments were filed in Chicago on February 13, 2020, and in New York on March 13, 2020, raising the total number of charges to 22. He was incarcerated at Metropolitan Correctional Center, Chicago from July 11, 2019 to June 23, 2021. 2 years. When he was transferred to Metropolitan Detention Center, Brooklyn. Okay, Hennepin County indictment 2019, August 5th, 2019, the state attorney's office in Hennepin County, Minnesota, charged Kelly with soliciting a minor in prostitution. Prosecutors alleged that in July 2001, following a concert in Prosecutors alleged that in July 2001, following a concert in Minneapolis, Kelly had invited a girl up to his hotel room, paid her $200 to remove her clothes, and dance with her. The charges were, however, dropped on May 16, 2023, citing Kelly's federal conviction. Trial in Eastern District of New York, 2021. The United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York was the first federal court to indict Kelly at the time. It was the only jurisdiction to take Kelly to trial following the charges filed in the wake of surviving R. Kelly. Investigations continue with Kelly indicted, jailed, and waiting trial. Before trial, prosecutors previewed a growing body of evidence, including evidence of bribes and recordings of threats. It was a month before trial that prosecutors first accused Kelly of abusing a male victim, an underage boy he met at McDonald's, as pattern evidence in his trial. Jury trial with Judge Ann Donnelly presiding, voir dire, and United States versus Robert Sylvester Kelly was held on August 9th, 2021. The same day, Kelly's lawyer filed a last-second motion to dismiss charges related to his transmission of genital herpes to several of his victims. That Kelly knew of his infection and non-disclosure to his sexual partners is a criminal act under public health law of New York and was presented as a predicate act for the charge of racketeering as well as the violations of the Mann Act. Judge Donnelly denied the motion, releasing a written decision after the trial. The federal jury began on August 18, 2021, with opening statements by prosecution and defense lawyers. The first witness called was Geronda Pace, one of the subjects of surviving R. Kelly, whose identity is widely known. She was the first of any of Kelly's accusers to have ever testified against him in court. Pace testified that Kelly's abuse included slapping, choking, and raping her. On cross-examination, Pace was asked about signing a statement that she had deceived Kelly about her age and replied that it was a condition of settlement. What? On cross-examination, Pace was asked about signing a statement that she had deceived Kelly about her age and replied that it was a condition of a settlement. Lying about her age, it was a condition of... And all 11 witnesses at Kelly's trial accused him of abuse, either sexual or physical, with some accusing him of both. 2 accusers were men alleging Kelly had sexually abused them at ages 16 and 17. One, Lewis, had recruited the other, Alex, and testified as cooperating witness. I don't believe that shit. Toward the end of the testimony on September 15, 2021, a video corroborating accusers' accounts of abuse was shown to the jury, but not the public or media. The videos were alluded to in later closing arguments as depicting Kelly delivering a painful spanking to one accuser and lengthy recording in which Kelly demanded acts of coprophagia and urophagia to humiliate another accuser. Eat shit, corophilia, and drink the pee. Urophagia is the consumption of urine. Urine was to humiliate another accuser. I don't believe that shit, but shit, I seen shit like that before. Motherfuckers is into that. And they got a cup of shit and piss. White girls be doing them, these squish it between the teeth. Ugh! Prostitutes that following Kelly's orders. At least 3 women made videos of themselves eating feces and rubbing it over their body. Following his orders. If somebody just tell you to do that, you do it. Guilty verdicts. After a 6-week trial, including 2 days of deliberations on September 27, 2021, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on all 9 counts of the verdict sheet. They included 1 count of racketeering, 8 Mann Act violations, 3 counts of transportation across state lines for illegal sexual activity, 4 counts coercion and enticement, 1 count of transportation of a minor. All that's some real, like, none of that other shit that they was talking about stuck. The only guilty verdicts is 1 count of racketeering, a type of organized crime in which perpetrators set up a coercive, fraudulent, extortionary, or otherwise illegal coordinated scheme or operation to repeatedly or consistently collect a profit. The term racketeering was coined by the collect a profit. The Mann Act, previously called the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, and the United States federal law passed on June 25th, 1910. It is named after Congressman James Robert Mann of Illinois. 8 Mann Act violations, 3 counts of transportation across state lines for illegal sexual activity. That's like some new shit. Whoever knowingly transport any individual in interstate or foreign commerce or in any territorial possession of the United States with the intent that such individual engage in prostitution or in any sexual activity for which any person can be charged with a criminal offense or attempts to do so shall be fined under this title of prison more than year. See, all this shit, all of these is some real petty shit. Whereas you can't do shit but get married. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no more motherfucking casual hooking up and shit. You can't trust a bitch for shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't take nobody to the telly. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you do, you just can't you can't go nowhere. You can't go to Miami. You can't go to, I'm in Virginia. You can't go to D.C. to the Marriott to have a good time for the weekend. You got to be married. I'm telling you, that's what it all boiled down to. Like, if you ain't married and like shit is under some type of biblical, you protect some type of biblical law, you can be persecuted for anything. You know what I'm saying? Any and everything that people do normally could be criminalized. You know what I'm saying? Legitimately criminalized. There's something on the books where they can get your ass. So you gotta go by biblical principle. And you can't be doing shit out here. Talk about like we all just having fun out here. Nah. Motherfuckers is flipping the script. And scapegoating the black man. See, we gonna get to the point of scapegoating. Because guilty or not, even in guilt, hold up, let me get to it. Okay, now, if you take it from the top, right? 2019, let me find that part. January 2019, you know what I'm saying? In January 2019, Lifetime began airing the 6-part documentary. That's when the Bush started. So let's go to December 2018. You know what I'm saying? Now we get into it. Quick facts, child pornography offenders. Fiscal year of 2018. Fiscal year 2018, 425 cases reported to the United States Sentencing Commission. 1,414 of these involve child pornography. Number of child pornography offenders. In 2014 is 1,613. Or in 2018, it was 1,441. So it was a little less than 2014. Offender and offense characteristics. This is what we talk about. 45.5% of child pornography offenses were sentenced for trafficking child pornography. 43.3% were sentenced for possessing child pornography, and 11.2% were sentenced for receiving child pornography. 99.3% of child pornography offenders were men. 83.3% were white men. 83% of child pornography offenders are white men. 9.5% Hispanic. 4% black, 3% other ages. The average age was 41 years old. 97.8% were United States citizens. So I think we just dealing in the United States anyway. They were citizens. 76.5% had little or no prior criminal history. Top 6 districts for child pornography offenders were Southern District of Texas, Eastern District of Virginia, Western District of Missouri, Eastern District of Missouri, Missouri just get down, and Middle District of Florida, Western District of Texas. These top 6 districts for child pornography offenders. Southern District of Texas, 54, Eastern District of Virginia, 51, Western District of Missouri, 50, Eastern District of Missouri, 38, Middle District of Florida, 38, Western District, 35. I don't really know what that's saying. Punishment. 99.1% of child pornography offenders were sentenced to prison. Their average sentence is 104 months. The average sentence for offenders convicted of trafficking in child pornography was 136 months. 136 months. 136 divided by 12. Like 10 years? Okay. Like 10 years. Carrying a 5-year mandatory minimum penalty. The average sentence was 116 months. 13.4% had prior sexual abuse or child pornography conviction and were subject to 15-year mandatory minimum penalty. The average sentence was 206 years. The average sentence for offenders convicted of receiving child pornography was 105 months. Child pornography offenders. See, that's the sentences. But, since we dealing with the scapegoat ritual, and they're painting a picture of a famous black man who is known as King of R&B as being the face of these heinous acts, we got to keep it in perspective that 83.3% of child pornography offenders were white men, and only 4% were black. This out of 100. Okay? That's important to note. Now, look, you just change the word cases to scandals. 2018 child sex scandals. Look at this. Catholic priests abused 1,000 children in Pennsylvania. See, New York Times ain't gonna let you see that without, what's the name? Look this up. Almost 1,700 priests and clergy accused of sex abuse are unsupervised. When was this? We looking up 2018 shit. This October 4th, 2019. You know, we showed you all those 2018 numbers, but okay, now why they on R. Kelly starting in 2019, October 2019, nearly 1,700 priests and other clergy members that the Roman Catholic Church considers credibly accused of his child sexual abuse are living under the radar with little to no oversight from religious authorities or law enforcement. Decades after the first wave of the church abuse scandal roiled U.S. dioceses, an Associated Press investigation has found these priests, deacons, monks, and lay people now teach middle school math. They counsel survivors of sexual assault. They work as nurses and volunteer at nonprofits aimed at helping at-risk kids. They live next to playgrounds and daycare centers. They foster and care for children. This NBC News, NBCnews.com. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking up 2018 child sex scandals and child sex cases. Almost 1,700 priests and clergy accused of sex abuse are supervised. Let's read more. Each diocese determined its own standard to deem a priest credibly accused, with the allegations ranging from inappropriate conversations and unwanted hugging to forced sodomy and rape. Dioceses and religious orders so far have shared the names of more than 5,100 clergy members. That's 5,100 clergy members, with more than 3/4 of the names released just in the last year. The AP researched nearly 2,000 who remain alive to determine where they have lived and worked. The largest scale review to date of what happened to priests named as possible sexual abusers. In addition to almost 1,700 that the AP was able to identify as largely unsupervised, there were 76 people who could not be located. The remaining clergy members were found to be under some kind of supervision, with some in prison or overseen by church programs. The review found hundreds of priests held positions of trust, many with access to children. More than 160 continued working or volunteering in churches, including dozens of Catholic dioceses, overseas, and in some other denominations. Roughly 190 obtained professional licenses to work in education, medicine, social work, and counseling, including 76 who, as of August, still had valid credentials in those fields. The research also turned up cases where the priests were once again able to prey on victims. Okay, Pope Francis issues a law requiring priests nuns to report sex abuse. After Roger Sinclair was removed from Diocese of Greenburgh in Pennsylvania in 2002 for allegedly abusing teen boys decades earlier, he ended up in Oregon. In 2002, that was the first R. Kelly shit. In 2017, he was arrested for repeatedly molesting a young developmentally disabled man and is now in prison for a crime that the lead investigator in the Oregon case says should have never been allowed to happen. Like Sinclair, the majority of people listed as credibly accused were never criminally prosecuted for abuse alleged when they were part of the church. That lack of criminal history would reveal the sizable gray area that state license boards and back check services are not designed to handle as former prison. Okay. That lack of criminal history has revealed a sizable gray area that state licensing boards and background check services are not designed to handle as former priests seek new employment, apply to be foster parents, and live in communities unaware of their presence and their past. See, this is an example of what we talking about when you think the black man come in the store, you will follow him around and expect the motherfucker to steal. Meanwhile, the white person that you're not looking at, they robbing you the whole time, stealing the whole motherfucking store. Taking anything that ain't motherfucking nailed down. The whole time you watching me. Not me, but somebody that look like me. To people convicted of crime. Yeah, see, victims advocates have pushed for more oversight, but church officials say what's been requested extends beyond what they legally can do. And civil authorities like police departments or prosecutors say their purview is limited to people convicted of crimes. That's why they keep letting these people out to keep this shit going. I'm telling you, they keep this shit going. This is part of the culture of society. Talk about child sacrifice and pedophilia. Let me go back to R. Kelly right quick, because it's something that need to be understood. Boycott and industry response. In May 2018, the Women of Color branch of Time's Up movement called for a boycott of Kelly's music and performance over the many allegations against him. The boycott was accompanied by a social media campaign called Mute R. Kelly. In response, his management said that Kelly supports the movement in principle, but targeting him was the attempted lynching of a black man who has made extraordinary contributions to our culture. I would agree. Music streaming service Spotify announced on May 10th, 2018 that it was going to stop promoting or recommending music by Kelly. Extentation and TK stating, "We don't censor content because of an artist or creator's behavior, but we want our editorial decisions, what we choose to program, to reflect our values." 2 days later, Apple Music and Pandora also announced that they would cease to feature or promote Kelly's music. They go, see, I don't want to bring up Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and no shit, because they weren't convicted of no crimes. You know what I'm saying? But they did what they did and it won't frowned upon at all. You know what I mean? I mean, it was frowned upon by our community. We was like, look how they get down. They're crazy. But that's how they get illegal to them. It's just something that's their culture, huh? In early January 2019, Kelly was dropped from RCA Records following the airing of Surviving R. Kelly. This was a whole campaign. This was a whole laid out litany of things to do, which detailed numerous sex allegations against the singer. Several musicians who collaborated with Kelly expressed regret for working with him, including Celine Dion, bitch please, I'm Your Angel, Nick Cannon, Gigolo, you punk ass nigga please, Pussycat Dolls, Hoes please, Chance the Rapper, you punk boy please, Somewhere in Paradise, Sierra, oh bitch please, and the Go and Get Your Tickets remix from Prom, Lady Gaga, oh bitch super please, do you? And Jennifer Hudson, Is Your World. Okay, Jennifer, some went on as far as having streaming services remove their songs that featured his vocals or credited him for songwriting or production. You wrote this. That's some bullshit. As of October 21, following his New York conviction, Kelly's YouTube channels, R. Kelly TV, were terminated, but his catalog remained available on YouTube Music. So he can't get nothing off his own shit, but we'll sell it. Dirty motherfuckers, boy. We'll sell it like he don't exist. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody accused of something, or even convicted of something, right? Some shit ain't your business. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers still should be able to get money how he got money. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get your punishment, and you're going through it. You're locked up. But all that other shit, like, we going to take his music and we going to sell it. That's not justified. You know what I'm saying? And you can't really justify that. But people justify a lot of fuck shit. Like, and that's what happened. Like, when the nature of the crime you're accused of is so heinous, all the other injustices that the people want to put on you is justified or overlooked. You know what I'm saying? Because you in a state where you can't really ask for justice. It's crazy. They're going to punish you every which way. You just can't even say, well, no, that ain't fair. You can't say what's not fair. You know what I'm saying? You just receive your punishment and whatever extra they want to put on you. But now this is what I wanted to get to when we talking about scapegoating. You know what I'm saying? And a scapegoat for the social stain of pedophilia, which is the society is somehow based around in a way, because people are 12 years old mentally. So, stating a case for leniency in the Senate's memorandum, Kelly's attorneys made several technical arguments about the Chicago federal case, but admitted to repeated sexual encounters with testified victims when they were underage. Arguing for mitigation, the memorandum included a passage written by expert witness Dr. Renee Sorrento, arguing that Kelly is not a pedophile. See, this is what I wanted to explain to the people, because people loosely say pedophile this, pedophile. People loosely call somebody a pedophile. But I consider the diagnosis of pedophilia, given Mr. Kelly's alleged history of sexual contact with minors. The diagnosis of pedophilia is used to refer to individuals who experience recurrent, intense sexually arousing fantasies or sexual urges involving sexual activity with prepubescent child or children, generally age 13 or younger. You know what I'm saying? That's around the 12-year age. You know what I'm saying? That's pedophilia. And you hear certain nasty jokes about told by white men in movies that I ain't gonna fucking repeat right now. I rejected the diagnosis because Mr. Kelly does not report a history. I rejected the diagnosis because Mr. Kelly does not report a history of sexual arousal to prepubescent individual, and his sexual behavior has never involved prepubescent individuals. That is true. And you have to acknowledge that. You can't, like, even people you dealing with statutory rape, you can't call all of that pedophilia, even though most people just say that's all pedophilia in their mind. But the distinction is this. Sorrento co-authored a paper arguing for a distinction between pedophilia and ephebophilia. That's a new word to me too. Ephebophilia is the primary sexual interest in mid to late adolescence, generally ages 15 to 19. Now that, that's R. Kelly style. 15 to 19, 19 and 18 it's legal, 17 is legal. The term was originally used in the late 19th to mid 20th century. It is one of a number of sexual preferences across age groups subsumed under the technical term chronophilia. That's different ages. It is one of a number of sexual preferences across age groups subsumed under the technical term chronophilia, sexual preferences across age groups. Okay, that sounds like you like old people, chronophilia. That sounds like old. You're attracted to old folks. Between pedophilia and ephebophilia, and using the term minor attracted person when you're talking about ephebophilia. The paper also cited research by the organization Virtuous Pedophiles. Is an internet-based mutual support and public awareness group for pedophiles who acknowledge having a sexual attraction to children but want to lead normal, productive lives without abusing children. Two founders of the group, who operate under pseudonyms Ethan, I don't know about the virtuous pedophile. So you just sit around fantasizing. So you promise not to touch. We just looking and not gonna touch. You looking at motherfuckers' kids. So we gonna look at that touch and just fantasize. We want to live normal, productive lives. These the motherfuckers that get taped and pornography in their house. Use of the term in a criminal justice context is controversial, and their sentencing memorandum prosecutors requested a 300-month prison sentence to be served consecutively to the sentence from Eastern District of New York, effectively a life imprisonment, arguing that Kelly's criminal conduct in Illinois was separate from the conduct of his previous conviction in New York. The memorandum stated, that's about 30 years, man. They say Robert Kelly is a serial sexual predator who, over the course of many years, specifically targeted young girls and went to great lengths to conceal his abuse of Jane and other minor victims. To this day, and even following the jury verdict against him, Kelly refuses to accept responsibility for his crimes. To the contrary, Kelly brazenly blames his victims and argues that his abuse of 14, 15, 16-year-old girls was justified because some of his victims as minors wanted to pursue a romantic sexual connection with him, and others remained in contact with him as adults. At the age of 56 years old, Kelly's lack of remorse and failure to grasp the gravity of his criminal conduct against children demonstrates that he possesses a serious danger to society. Kelly goes so far as to insinuate that he and not the young girls he abused is the victim, because the federal government elected to prosecute him for egregious conduct that occurred throughout the United States for over 20 years. And that's what I would agree, because let me say something. I agree with that to a certain extent, because I always said, I was saying when they was coming at Bill Cosby, that even if that was his MO and he put the Quaalude, give you the Quaalude and let you fall asleep and he do his thing with you, even if that's his thing and people know that's his thing, my question is, when is he supposed to figure that he wrong? He probably figured he wrong the first time, but if you in certain situations or in certain circles and your people share sexual misconduct, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, people just say, hey, we partying. Hey man, we partying. We just partying. We just loose. You know what I'm saying? So like, you live a lifestyle of entertainment, groupies want you, and you can have the spoils and all the handlers and the executives and everybody, they come before you and say, yeah, this is the life. This is what you get in it for. When are they supposed to consider themselves wrong? You know what I'm saying? This is what I was saying earlier. You can't do shit without being married. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all the trick of the devil. You got to do everything the righteous way. And you would think everybody being loose and we just all having fun and everything legally. When it comes down to it, will all scapegoat you when it's convenient. You understand? Because it's all wrong. You know what I'm saying? But everybody is protecting each other in the wrongdoing. So you think, oh, well, this is our circle, and keep squares out the circle. But when the whole group is in jeopardy, somebody has to be the scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I could see why he would be like, why are you doing this to me? I'm a victim. Because when was he supposed to think he wrong? If it's encouraged all his life and career. You know what I'm saying? When you supposed to think he wrong, then all of a sudden you say, you are a disgusted motherfucker. You are terrible. You are this, you that. And you like, what? What? You gotta feel that. But you can't feel it if you just, you never done nothing or been nowhere, and you just super religious and right. I mean, good for you. That's great for you. And I'm conservative myself because ain't none of this shit worth it. You know what I'm saying? It ain't worth motherfucker flipping the script on you. You know what I mean? No matter what you think morally or whatnot. This is scapegoating 101. And we're going to get to the deeper aspects of it and the ancient practice of it. But we dealt with that, and we're going to have a summary. We're going to summarize everything. But then we're going to get to these dioceses. You know what I'm saying? These bishops and clerics and before we even get to that, because this all started, like I was saying, in 2018, December 2018, the Pizzagate scandal was in full effect. And we got to go through the Pizzagate scandal because the Pizzagate scandal is what blew the lid off the whole practice of everybody. That made the church hot. All the sexual misconduct in the church, they made their situation hot. You know, all the politics, the sex cults, and it's real. Pedivore cults in the world is real. And they try to act like people making up shit. They try to act like conspiracy theorists is making up shit. But people eat kids and fuck kids. You know what I'm saying? And they in the highest echelons of society. And they getting away with this shit. But they'll take the king of R&B and say, this is something he do, and all y'all in the black community are y'all probably be doing this in the projects. This is the insinuation when we know. Why do they keep us away from their social equality? Because if we find out how filthy they were in all their affairs, we will run them from amongst us. That is in our lessons. Why does the white devil keep us away from their social equality? The answer is because if we was to find out how filthy they were in all their affairs, we would run them from amongst us. But people so innocent that you can't fathom the depths of Satan. So Kelly goes so far as to insinuate that he and not the young girls he abused is the victim because the federal government elected to prosecute him for egregious conduct that occurred throughout the United States for over 20 years. The federal government elected to prosecute him for egregious conduct that occurred throughout the United States for over 20 years, way over 20 years. They talk about his sexual conduct. He's saying, Mom, this shit been going on since before he was born. And he right. And you go try to act like if you get rid of him, this shit is rid out of society. Like the whole practice is out of society. But let's get to the benefactors of scapegoating. These almost 1,700 motherfuckers. The heavy lift of tracking former priests has fallen to citizen watchdogs and victims, whose complaints have fueled suspicions, removals, and firings. But even then, loopholes in state laws allow many former clergy to keep their new jobs even when the history of allegations become public. Defrocked or not, we've long argued that bishops can't recruit, hire, ordain, supervise, shield, transfer, and protect predator priests, then suddenly oust them and claim to be powerless over their whereabouts and activities, said David Clohessy, the former executive director of the Survivors Network of those abused by priests, who now heads the group St. Louis chapter. Okay. It said it was supposed to make abuse history. When the first big wave of clergy abuse scandals hit Rome, the Roman Catholic diocese in the early 2000s, the U.S. bishops created the Dallas Charter, a baseline for sexual abuse reporting, training, and other procedures to prevent child abuse. A handful of canon lawyers and experts at the time said every diocese should be transparent, name priests that had been accused of abuse, and in many cases get rid of them. Most dioceses decided against naming priests, however, and with the dioceses that did release lists in the next few years, some by choice, others due to lawsuit settlements or bankruptcy proceedings, abuse survivors complain about underreporting of priests, along with the omission of religious brothers they believe should be on those lists. The Dallas Charter was supposed to fix everything. It was supposed to make the abuse scandal history. But that didn't happen, said the Reverend Thomas Doyle, a canon lawyer who had tried to warn the bishops that abuse was widespread and that they should clean house. After the charter was established in 2002, some critics say dioceses were more likely to simply defrock priests and return them to private citizenship. Before 2018's landmark Pennsylvania grand jury report, which named more than 300 predator priests accused of abusing more than 1,000 children in 6 dioceses. The official list of credibly accused priests added up to fewer than 1,500 names nationwide. Now, within the span of little more than a year, more than 100 dioceses and religious orders have come forward with thousands of names, but often little other information can be used to alert the public. Some of the lists merely provide names without details of the abuse allegations that led to their inclusion, the dates of the priest's assignments, or the parishes where they serve. And many don't disclose the priest's status with the church, which can vary from being moved into full retirement to being banished from performing public sacraments while continuing to perform administrative work. Only a handful of the list include the last known cities the priest lived in. Over 9 months, AP reporters and researchers scoured public databases, court records, property records, social media, and other sources to locate the ousted clergy member. The effort unearthed hundreds of these priests who, largely unwatched by church and civil authorities, choose careers that put them in new positions of trust and authority, including jobs in which they dealt with children and survivors of sexual abuse. At least 2 worked as juvenile detention officers in Washington and Arizona, and several others migrated to government roles like victims advocates or public health planner. At least 2 worked as juvenile detention officers in Washington and Arizona, and several others migrated to government roles like victims advocate or public health planner. Others landed jobs at places like Disney World, community centers, or family shelters for domestic abuse. They be right there. They be right there when you look at help. Like, you looking for help from these, they right there. The people you going to about them is them. And one former priest started a nonprofit that sends people to volunteer in orphanages and other places in developing nations. The AP determined that a handful of adopted or foster children sponsored teens and young adults coming to the U.S. for educational opportunities or work with organizations that are part of the foster care system. Though that number could be much higher since no public database tracks adoptive or foster parents. You don't trust that shit anyway. Charlize Theron, all them bitches, Sandra Bullock. Until February, former priest Stephen Jared Stencil worked at a Phoenix company that places severely disabled children in foster homes and trains foster parents to care for them. Colleagues knew he was a former priest, but were unaware of past allegations against him. According to Laurie Copenhaver, the firm's executive director, Stencil, now 67, was suspended from ministry in 2001 after a trip to Mexico that violated a diocese policy forbidding clerics from being with minors overnight. Around that time, a 17-year-old boy also complained that Stencil, then pastor of St. Anthony Parish in Casa Grande, Arizona, had grabbed his crotch in 1999 in a swimming pool. The diocese determined it was accidental touching, but turned the allegations over to police. No criminal charges were filed. The AP's analysis also found that more than 160 of the priests remained in the comfortable position of continuing to work or volunteer in the church, with 3/4 of those continuing to serve in some capacity in the Roman Catholic Church. Others move on as ministers and priests in different denominations with new roles such as organists or even as priests in Catholic churches not affiliated with the Vatican, sometimes despite known or published credible accusations against them. In more than 30 cases, priests accused of sexual abuse in the United States simply moved overseas, whether they worked as Roman Catholic priests in good standing in countries including Peru, Mexico, the Philippines, Ireland, and Colombia, where they be fucking with the little indigenous girls, man. Boys, too. More so. The AP found that in all, roughly 110 clergy members moved or were suspected of moving out of the U.S. after allegations were made. At least 5 priests were excommunicated from the Roman Catholic Church because of their refusal to stop participating in other religious activities. More than 3 decades ago, James A. Funk, a fellow teacher at St. Louis Catholic High School, Jerome Robin, went to prison for sexually abusing male students. Together, Funk, released in 1995, was eventually bounced from the priesthood, but years later, the two men joined together again, promoting Robin as the leader of a church of his own making. In 2004, Missouri records show that Robin has listed his St. Louis home as the base for a religious organization operating under at least 3 different names beginning in 2014. Those papers have identified Funk as the order's secretary and one of the 3 dictators. See, we dealing with religious people in the church, the big church. You know what I'm saying? Look at this, man. Look at all this stuff, man. There's so much to read. Sergeant Stephen Benstock, the lead investigator in Oregon, said Sinclair immediately confessed to committing multiple sexual acts with the developmentally disabled man. He also confessed to sexually contact with minors in Pennsylvania 30 years earlier. He was very vague, but he did tell us that it was some of the same type of behaviors, same type of incidents that occurred with the victim that happened here, Benstock told the AP. Pennsylvania diocese had never warned the Oregon authorities about Sinclair because it stopped tracking him after he left the church. The diocese, which did not tell the public Sinclair had been accused of abuse until it released its list in August 2018, declined to comment on the case. So, like, all this shit started coming out in 2018 because of that Pizzagate scandal. So, like I said, Pizzagate made the block hot. So they needed blood come January 2019 so they could keep doing their shit. And the AP's analysis of the credibly accused church employees who remained alive found more than 310 of the 2,000 have been charged with crimes for actions that took place when they were priests. Beyond that, the AP confirmed that Sinclair and 64 others had been charged with crimes committed after leaving the church, with most of them convicted for those crimes. Some of the crimes involved drunk driving, theft, and drug offenses, but 42 of the men were accused of crimes that were sexual in nature or violent, including a dozen charged with sexually assaulting minors. 13 were charged with distributing, making, or possessing child pornography, and several others were caught masturbating in public or exposing themselves to people on planes or in shopping malls. These are perverted motherfuckers, and they in, like, the clergy and shit. 5 failed to register in their new communities as sex offenders as required due to their sex crime conviction. Priests and other church employees being listed on sex offender registries at all its rarity. The AP analysis found that only 85% only 85 of the 2,000 are. That's because church officials often successfully lobbied civil authorities to downgrade charges in exchange for guilty pleas ahead of trials. Convictions were sometimes expunged if offenders completed probationary programs or the charges were reduced below the level required by states for registration. See, they playing games. Slap on the wrist and shit like that. I promise I won't do it again. Since sex offenders registries in their current research performed didn't begin until the 90s, dozens also were not tracked or monitored because their original sentences already had been served before the registries were established. See, this is a cult in the club. AP also found that more than 500 of the credibly accused former priests live within 2,000 feet of schools, playgrounds, child care centers, or other facilities that serve children, with many living much closer. In the states that restrict now closed registered sex offenders can live to those facilities. Limits range from 500 to 2,000 feet. Decades after Louis Leidenberger was temporarily removed from the priesthood to be treated for inappropriate professional behavior in relationships, he was hired as a counselor at a school for troubled boys in Idaho. Leidenberger was arrested in 2007 and accused of sexual battery in a deal with prosecutors. He pled guilty to aggravated assault. He served about 5 months in prison. 5 fucking This motherfucker here. According to Bonner County, Idaho Sheriff reports students said Leidenberger told them he was a sex addict. During counseling sessions, they said the former Franciscan priest rubbed their upper thighs and stomachs, held their hands, and gave them shoulder and neck massages. If students expressed confusion about their sexual identities, the sheriff's reports say he fondled them and performed oral sex on them. Leidenberger was fired from the school. In an interview with sheriff's officials at the time, he admitted being a touchy person, kissing many students and having his needs met by the physical contact with the boys. Come on, man. By then, he'd been gone from the church for more than a decade, 96, and no officials even served, had warned the school, blah, blah, blah. In lawsuits involving a sexual abuse allegation against another member of San Francisco order, the complaint cited Leidenberger as an example of the harm done when church officials don't report accusations of abuse to law enforcement, saying he likely never would have been hired at the school if the Franciscan had reported him when they first became aware. For all intents and purposes, they let loose a ticking time bomb that exploded in 2007. Why former priests aren't tracked? See, this is what we get to. If priests choose to leave their diocese or religious orders, or if the church decides to permanently defrock them in a process known as laicitation, leaders say the church no longer has authority to monitor where they go. After the Dallas Charter came a rush to laicize, resulting in more than 220 of the priests researched by the AP being laicized between 2004 and 2010. Roughly 40% of all living credible credibly accused clergy members had either been laicized or had voluntarily left the church. The laicized priests also are increasingly younger, giving them even more years to lead unsupervised lives, according to Deacon Bernie Noharera, the executive director of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, Secretariat of Child and Youth Protection. That does create an opportunity for them to seek a second career, Noharera said. So this is something a number of dioceses are grappling with and trying to figure out. They running the game with a loophole because we have 197 different ways that the Dallas Charter is being implemented. It's a roadmap, a bare minimum, he said. We do talk about situations where these men are being laicized and what happens to them. And our canon lawyers are quick to say there's no purview to monitor them. So, licensed to teach and counsel. In many cases, the priests tracked by the AP went on to work in positions of trust in fields allowing close access to children and other vulnerable individuals, all with the approval of state credentialing boards, which often were powerless to deny them or unaware of the allegations until the diocese lists were released. The review found that 190 of the former clergy members gained license to work as educators, counselors, social workers, or medical personnel, which can be easy places to land for priests already trained in counseling parishioners or working with youth groups. One in Thomas, Maryland, it's like you gotta have that shit on your record to even get a job like that. One is Thomas, Maryland, who, after asking to leave the priesthood in 1983, began working as a licensed clinical counselor in Ohio, specializing in therapy for teens and adults with sexual orientation and gender identity issues. Maring maintained his state-issued license even after the diocese in Toledo settled a lawsuit in 2008 filed by a man who said he was 15 when Maring sexually abused him in a church rectory in the late 1960s. It wasn't until 2016 that Toledo Diocese's request to defrock Maring was granted. State records show that Ohio's counselor social work, it wasn't until Trump got in 2016 that Toledo's Diocese's request to defrock Maring was granted. State records show that Ohio's counselor, social worker, and marriage and family therapist board has never taken disciplinary action against the 81-year-old who is among several treatment providers listed by a municipal court in Somerton. We made noise about him years ago. Nobody did anything. It's mind-blowing, said Claudia Versalati, who heads Toledo's chapter. People been making noise about Joe Biden for years. And like people pick and choose when they want to, when they want to make your shit public, you know what I'm saying? And when they want to just ride you, say nah, and put the magnifying glass on you. And they want to put it on you, say nah, you dirty. You've been doing this. Man, there's pictures and videos of Biden touching kids like on some weird shit. Like he don't see himself. And motherfuckers just let him go. Oh, he's just touchy-feely, too. There ain't nothing wrong with Joe Biden doing that. He a Catholic. An old Catholic, too. Man, come on, yo. You see his son, I ain't seen his son laptop. But I'd have heard about it. It's some wild shit on that motherfucker. Hillary Clinton laptop, we gonna get into that Pizzagate shit. Because they really saying that's some bullshit. And I'm really saying they saying this bullshit is bullshit. Because I done seen too much. We done seen too much. And this shit has become blaringly obvious. But that's another subject, to really go deep into it. But the timeline is Pizzagate scandal. Open up the news about the diocese and whatnot, put the magnifying glass back on them. So they need a sacrifice. They need a scapegoat going into 2019. Let me end it with this. Let me end this segment with this. If these guys simply left and disappeared somewhere, it wouldn't be a problem, said Doyle, the canon lawyer. But they don't. They get jobs and create spaces where they can get access to and abuse children again. You know what I'm saying? Let me end it with this. Let me end this segment with this. If these guys simply left and disappeared somewhere, it wouldn't be a problem, said Doyle, the canon lawyer. But they don't. They get jobs and create spaces where they can get access to and abuse children again. You know what I'm saying? So let's just read about Pizzagate real quick. Let's talk about Pizzagate real quick. Wikipedia. Pizzagate. 2004. The 2004 pizza throwing. Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory that went viral during the 2016 United States presidential election cycle, falsely claiming this ain't no falsely. They say falsely claiming that New York City Police Department had discovered a pedophilia ring linked to members of the Democratic Party while searching through Anthony Weiner's emails. It has been extensively discredited by a wide range of organizations, including Washington, D.C.'s police. Discredited, like the people discredited it has been discredited themselves. We not gonna argue about it. We just gonna go through what's going through. In March 2016, the personal email account of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, was hacked in a spear phishing attack. WikiLeaks published his emails in November 2016. Proponents of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory falsely claimed that emails contained coded messages that connected several high-ranking Democratic Party officials at U.S. restaurants with an alleged human trafficking and child sex ring. One of the established alleged involved was the Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria in Washington, D.C. Members of the alt-right conservative journalists and others who had urged Clinton's prosecution over her use of an unrelated private email server spread the conspiracy theory on social media outlets such as 4chan, 8chan, Reddit, Twitter. In response, a man from North Carolina traveled to Comet Ping Pong to investigate the conspiracy, had fired a rifle inside the restaurant to break the lock on the door to a storage room during his search. Also, the restaurant owner and staff received death threats from conspiracy theorists. Pizzagate is generally considered a predecessor to the QAnon conspiracy theory. It also generated another offshoot conspiracy theory called Frazzle Drip. That ain't no motherfucking theory either. They cleaned, like, you could look up Frazzle Drip. Like, okay, Frazzle Drip was the name of the video, which involved Hillary Clinton participating in the ritual murder of a child. Pizzagate resurged in 2020, mainly due to QAnon. Yo, you could look up hashtag Frazzle Drip back then, and that shit would take you down a serious rabbit hole. And you would see, and in this rabbit hole, you would see too much imagery, too much shit for them to just say it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, stupid. Pizzagate research in 2020, mainly due to QAnon. While initially it was spread by only the far right, it has since been spread by teens on TikTok who don't otherwise fit our right-wing conspiracy theorist mode. The biggest Pizzagate spreaders on TikTok appear to otherwise be mostly interested in topics of dance, viral moves, and Black Lives Matter. The conspiracy theory has developed and become less partisan and political in nature, with less emphasis on Clinton and more an alleged worldwide elite of child sex traffickers. Let's go to the genesis of that. On October 30th, 2016, a Twitter account posting white supremacist material which said it was run by a Jewish New York lawyer falsely claimed that New York City Police Department had discovered pedophile ring. Yeah, these are the origins. Had published John Podesta's emails. John Podesta, like, now when you get into John Podesta, and what's the other dude name? Well, Podesta was, yeah, Podesta is deeper than Wiener. They some wild motherfuckers, boy. When you see what they into. Ale Fontes. February 17th, Ale Fontes' lawyer sent Jones a letter demanding an apology and retraction under Texas law. Jones was given a month to comply or be subject to a libel suit. On March 17th, Alex Jones apologized to Ale Fontes for promulgating the conspiracy theory, saying, "To my knowledge today, neither Mr. Alefantis nor his restaurant Comet Ping Pong were involved in any human trafficking as was part of the theories about Pizzagate that were written about in many media outlets and which we commented upon." InfoWars also issued a correction on this website that said, "Jones, I want our viewers and listeners to know that we regret any negative impacts our commentaries may have had on Mr. Alefantis, Comet Ping Pong, or its employees. We apologize to the extent our commentaries could be construed as negative statements about Mr. Alefantis or Comet Ping Pong, and we hope that anyone else involved in commenting on Pizzagate will do the same." Michael Flynn and Michael Flynn Jr. In days leading up to 2016 election, Michael Flynn, top surrogate for Trump and later Trump's national security advisor, posted multiple tweets on Twitter containing conspiratorial material regarding Hillary and her staff. They alleged that John Podesta drank the blood and bodily fluids of other humans in satanic rituals, which Politico says soon morphed into the Pizzagate conspiracy theory involving Comet Ping Pong. On November 2nd, 2016, Flynn tweeted a link to a story with unfounded accusations and wrote, "You decide. NYPD blows whistle on new Hillary emails, money laundering, sex crimes with children, etc. Must read." The tweet, shared by over 9,000 people, was deleted from Flynn's account sometime during September 12th through 13th, 2016. After the shooting incident at Comet Ping Pong, Michael Flynn Jr., Michael T. Flynn's son, also a member of Trump's transition team, tweeted, "Until Pizzagate proven to be false, it'll remain a story. The left seems to forget that the Podesta emails and the many coincidences tied to it." On December 6, 2016, Flynn Jr. was forced out of Trump's transition team. Spokesman Jason Miller did not identify the reason for dismissal. However, the New York Times reported that other officials confirmed that it was related tweet. It's chestnut checkers. Developments within QAnon, merger with QAnon. Pizzagate became a pillar of the far-right QAnon conspiracy theory, which emerged in 2017 and incorporated its beliefs. QAnon, which has been linked to the media to Pizzagate on steroids, and a big budget sequel to Pizzagate, linked the child trafficking ring to a nefarious worldwide conspiracy. It also developed Pizzagate's claims by adding the concept that sexual abuses are a part of satanic rituals, that the abusers murder the children to harvest the adrenochrome from their blood, which they then use as drug or as elixir to remain youthful. You think that's like some made up shit? You think somebody made that up? Like out their imagination? Frazzle drip. A related conspiracy theory known as frazzle drip, sometimes spelled frazzled rip. This frazzle drip emerged in 2018, claiming that an extreme snuff film was recovered from Anthony Weiner's stolen laptop and was circulating on the dark web. According to that story, the file named frazzle drip was hidden under a folder called Life Insurance in Weiner's computer. The video contained in that video was said to show Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin raping and murdering a young girl, drinking her adrenochrome-rich blood in a satanic ritual, and taking turns wearing the little girl's face like a mask. Purported frames from the video circulated to back these claims. According to Snopes, some of these images came from a YouTube video originally posted on April Fool's Day 2018, and a photo which was said to show Huma Abedin wearing a mask had been taken from the website of a Washington, D.C. Indian restaurant and portrayed the owner of that establishment. Hundreds of videos on the YouTube promoted these false statements, and the claims were still circulating internationally within QAnon groups 2 years later in 2020. Global spread. In 2020, as the broader QAnon movement became an international phenomenon, Pizzagate also gained new traction and became less U.S.-centric in nature, with videos, posts, and topic in Italy, Brazil, Turkey, and other countries gaining millions of views. The new iteration is less partisan. The majority of the mostly teenage promoters of Pizzagate hashtag. Okay, we read that. But it focused on the alleged global elite of child traffickers, ranging from politicians to powerful business people and celebrities such as Bill Gates, yes, Tom Hanks, yes, Ellen DeGeneres, yes, Oprah Winfrey, yes, Christy Teigen, weird bitch, yes, and Justin Bieber's 2020 song Yummy was alleged to be about the conspiracy theory and rekindled support for theory during the year. Okay, it's 2025 now. Ask Justin Bieber about it now. Ask Justin Bieber about it now. See what he said. The conspiracy theory gained traction again when Venezuelan YouTuber Dross Rodzak made a video about Bieber's music video and its alleged references to Pizzagate. Rodzak's video gained 3 million views in 2 days and led Pizzagate to become a trending topic on the Spanish language Twitter. Adherents of the theory also believe that Bieber gave a coded signal admitting as such in later Instagram video live, where he touched his hat after being asked to do so in the chat if he was a victim of Pizzagate. However, there is no indication that Bieber saw this comment. April 2020, a documentary promoting Pizzagate, Out of Shadows, was made by a former Hollywood stuntman and released on YouTube. TikTok users began promoting both Out of Shadows and the alleged Bieber association until hashtag Pizzagate hashtag was banned by the company. The New York Times said in June 2020 that posts on the platform with the Pizzagate hashtag were viewed more than 82 million times in recent months, and Google searches for the term also increased in that time. They also reported that in the first week of June, comments likes and shares of Pizzagate also spiked to more than 800,000 on Facebook and nearly 600,000 on Instagram, according to data from CrowdTangle. That compares with 512,000 interactions on Facebook and 93,000 on Instagram during the first week of September 2016, from the start of 2017 through January of 2020. The average number of weekly Pizzagate mentions, like, and shares on Facebook and Instagram was under 20,000. In August 2020, Facebook temporarily suspended use of hashtag Save the Children when used to promote elements of Pizzagate conspiracy theory and QAnon. The improper use of the hashtag caused protests from unrelated NGO Save the Children. The Pizzagate Massacre, originally titled Duncan, a dark satire film inspired by the Pizzagate conspiracy theory and Edgar Madison, the Welch shooting of Comic Peak film, was released in VOD November 2021. I remember seeing people on YouTube. Joe ain't even on YouTube no more, because this was back in 2016 probably. And they was talking about they seen they seen the film, like they got on the dark web and seen it, like these is people doing reviews and reactions. And they had such somber looks on their faces and was like mind blown. But the biggest story is about the 8 police officers who killed themselves. The 8 police officers committed suicide after seeing the tapes and couldn't really, I guess, I don't know, they couldn't do nothing about it or what. But they said they was throwing up and shit. They was fucked up. You know what I'm saying? It hurt their fucking brains.
Like, well, that's what happened when you access like forbidden web pages and shit like that, where you have hackers and all type of shit. I'm like, wait, what? What you mean forbidden web pages? Like, nigga, it's like, oh, you didn't know. I'm like, no, dog, I have no idea what the fuck you talking about. I was like, he was like, but before you get on this type of stuff, like, you need to encrypt your computer, right? You need to encrypt your computer. Like, you need to have blocks. You need to have, what do you call it? You need to have blocks. You need to have like booby trap IP addresses. You need to like delete all your form of information from the computer. You need to cover up your computer camera, all type of shit, right? So I'm like, all right, well, like, can you build me a computer for this with everything? So nigga, boom, the nigga build me the computer with everything the way I need it to be built, yada, 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 boom. He's like, don't never dial in from a home server. You go get the AOL download packs. And once you get the AOL download packs, you can just download, you can use the AOL server. So if they track anything with that AOL, boom. So boom, I went to fucking Food for Less, nigga, made fucking hella emails, nigga, used all the AOL. I was using AOL packs, right? So I'm on, right? I'm on, I click. Soon as I get on the right side, right? On the right end, there's a dude holding a baby. Shit says watch live, 1 Bitcoin. Right? There's a dude holding a baby and it says watch live, 1 Bitcoin. This was back when Bitcoin was still cheap. Now, cause see, a lot of y'all don't understand. This is what Bitcoin was used for prior. See, a lot of y'all niggas don't understand what Bitcoin is, untraceable money. This is what it was used for. It was used for all the fucked up shit. Cryptocurrency. It was used to buy all the fucked up shit. But now it's becoming popular. But prior, it was used to buy fucked up shit. People don't understand this. People think it's just new. Now, it's just now coming to the surface where people are investing in yada, yada, yada. Right? So niggas have no idea when they invest into Bitcoin, they're paying all their money to perverts. Perverts, rapists, killers, pedophiles. So that's who's selling the Bitcoins. It ain't regular Samaritans. You got regular killer niggas like, you know what? I got 50,000 Bitcoin. I'm gonna sell one of these motherfuckers 16 bands, right? And then on top of that, I'll probably eat the nigga children because when the nigga buy a Bitcoin, I'm gonna have all this information. So when the time come, I might eat the nigga organs. So boom, right? So you have to buy everything in Bitcoin, right? Right? You have to buy everything on the dark web, deep web. You gotta buy everything in Bitcoin, everything. You can't spend credit cards. You can't spend none of that because nigga, you put any credit card information, they gonna wipe your whole life. They gonna find out where you live and they might come eat you and kidnap you. So you don't put that type of information on the dark web at all. You don't put none of that. So boom, I let it go. So one day I find myself back on the deep web, right? I just told you how I got the Bitcoins, the homie. One of my boys that played Modern Warfare, World of Warcraft all day. He pretty much was into all of that shit. But now, come to think about it, he might have been like a piece-a-gator. Because I ain't seen that nigga since. And how he know... Yo... Anywho, like, so nigga, I'm like, nigga, I get back on there, right? I'm like, you know what? I'm about to see if they sell like limitless pills and shit like that, nigga. I'm searching all type of shit. You feel me? I'm searching all type of shit. So remind you, I'm looking for like a a fucking drug that can enhance your brain. Like, this is what I'm looking for the whole time. So boom, I find the site. It goes 1 Bitcoin to enter. Boom, I enter the site. It was the worst decision I ever made in my life. It was the worst decision I ever made in my life, ever. I get to the site, there's a baby strapped to the chair. A young baby, maybe like 8, 9 months, baby. Random dude comes with like, you know when there's like a fucking outbreak and they got on the outbreak clothes with the little all white, the yellow gloves and the little mask? Like, the dude has an outbreak. Boom. He walks up, the baby's in a chair screaming out the top of his lungs. But mind you, I never seen no shit like this in my life, so I'm like glued to the screen, like, what the fuck? So the dude comes, dog, he gets like a little tube or something. He gets a syringe, squeezes the stuff, and then drops the juice on the baby face, dog. The baby face melted back. The nigga dropped sulfuric acid on top of the baby face, and the baby face melted back, dog. What bothered me the most about that scenario was seeing that there was over 1 million something people watching this shit. That's what bothered me more than the whole scenario. There was 1 million people watching, like it was like 1 million something people watching this shit. People was commenting, "Oh my God, that was radical. Can you put acid on the feet next time?" People were commenting. How y'all commenting right now with suggestions? People were commenting, making comments like what to do next, what type of style they should do next, what type of acid they should use next. I was sitting there looking at this shit like, what the fuck world am I in? Wait, what? I paid for it because I thought it was a place where you can get, nigga, like an enhancement drug to enhance your brain. That's what I thought.
A little more about the Pizzagate. We didn't get into it. On December 8, 2016, Hillary Clinton responded to the conspiracy theory, speaking about the dangers of fake news. A phrase that Donald Trump coined. She's, they got a knack for flipping the script, you know what I'm saying? And doing a lot of projecting. These are the most dishonest motherfuckers ever. The epidemic of malicious fake news and fake propaganda that flooded social media over the past year, it's now clear that so-called fake news can have real-world consequences. A poll public opinion. A poll conducted by Public Policy Polling on December 6th through 7th, 2016 asked 1,224 U.S. registered voters if they thought Hillary Clinton was connected to a child sex ring being run out of a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. See, that's a loaded question. Being run out of a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. You ain't got to add that part to the question. You know what I'm saying? Just ask the question, you think she connected to a child sex ring? It don't matter where the fuck it's being run out of. 9% of respondents said they believe she was connected. 72% said they did not. And 19 were not sure. A poll of voters conducted on December 17th through 20 by The Economist, YouGov, and asked voters if they believe that leaked emails from the Clinton campaign talked about pedophile and human trafficking, Pizzagate. The results showed that 17% of Clinton voters responded true, while 82% responded not true, and 46% of Trump voters responded true, while 53% voted not true. So 17% of Clinton voters said, yeah, they think this shit true. But they still go vote for her. That's deep. Academic Roger Lancaster likened the impact of Pizzagate to the satanic panic of the 80s. At the time, hundreds of daycare workers were falsely accused of abusing children. And then the Atlanta child murder. Come on now. You're not going. Alex Jones and InfoWars. After the comic ping pong shooting, Alex Jones and InfoWars backed off from the idea that the DC pizzeria was the center of the conspiracy. On December 4th, InfoWars uploaded a YouTube video that linked Pizzagate to November 13th death of a sex worker rights activist. The video falsely claimed that she had been investigating a link between the Clinton Foundation and human trafficking in Haiti. And then we're going to tag Oprah for Africa. Where them girls at? It is speculated she had been murdered in connection with her investigation. According to the activist's former employer, family and friends, her death was in fact a suicide and she was not investigating the Clinton Foundation. By December 14th, InfoWorld had removed 2 of its 3 Pizzagate related videos. Now we're going to get on Hillary Clinton and her reputation for bodies showing up.
Stay out of it. Y'all Negroes over there running for Hillary. Her behind getting indicted. She's wearing an ankle bracelet. If she ain't dead already. See, you gotta understand that politics and what you're looking at, Democratic, Republican, this dude Trump is what is he? He ain't even Democrat or Republican. And check Pence. Pence is the worst pedophile than all of them. And did you see when they were passing out the envelopes? Mm-hmm. Everybody was getting an envelope. Did you see? Go back and look at the funeral one more time and see Jeb Bush take a look at what he saw. That it was said to him. His whole face turned cold and he started shivering. Starting in January the 2nd, that's when the military trials begin. They spent $500 million on upgrading Guantanamo Bay. Y'all looking at CNN, the Clinton News Network, and that's what they're giving you, bullshit. It's been co-opted by Project Mockingbird, and I ain't here promoting anybody. I'm watching the game and how the rules are being played. So don't tell me I'm a Trump supporter and no. I'm watching the game and I'm seeing who's playing. Because your girl Hillary said, if this bastard gets into the White House, and these are her words, we're all fucked. End quote.
The hypothecation and just taking your whole identity. That's all a part of that shit. You gotta bring it to a head. There's a war going on you.
If it's in the yard, then it's first
You know, take it out of the realm of conspiracy and really ask, well, what is going on? And you gotta get serious.
I learned what type of war really is happening. See, the biggest problem and the biggest lie that they ever told us was that we were slaves. That's the biggest lie that was ever told to melanated people as a whole. The biggest lie ever told to us is that we were slaves. We are not slaves. We're not slaves. You know what we are? We are food. We're not slaves. We are food.
What is a hot dog? It's a boy. Pizza is a girl. Cheese is a little girl. Pasta is a little boy. Ice cream is a male prostitute. Walnut, we hold on to that for a while, is a dark brown boy or girl. Young girl's genitals. Map is semen. Sauce is orgy. Handkerchief, black is sadomasochism. I don't know what the white is. Pillow is a prostitute. Dominoes is you're into domination. And chicken is a young boy. This is the unclassified documentation from the FBI. I went to the FBI. And this is what they show you is the symbol. This is girl lover. Okay? This is women who are into little girls. You see the big heart inside, little heart inside the big heart. This is boy lover. You see here, the little boy here I mean, the young boy here and the older man. Now, this is for infants. 5 months old, 6 months, 1 year. Looks like a little scribble of a child. Okay? These are the symbols of the pedophile. Watch. Rabbit's foot out of the box in the Arctic. I will be sacrificing a chicken in the backyard to Mullah. Chicken is?
A young boy.
Oh boy. Huh? Bodies are a high price, especially young babies. What do they say with the, what's the name of the NAMBLA? They said, sex before 8 or it's too late. These are the pigs that you got to be looking for, that you're going to see getting ready to be indicted. Yeah, he's there too. Enabler. This man, Alefantis, where is he? Him, a Rothschild. He's the one who owns, what do you call it, Comet Pizza. He's the one who calls himself Johnny Comet or something like that.
Fathers told me, we're gonna destroy your career.
But Kelly's emotions remained raw.
It's real girls out there missing. It's real young girls out there being abducted, being raped, okay? They really are on chains. They really do have chains on their wrists, and they can't get out.
Robert,
and they're ending up buried in deep.
Robert, we have to have a conversation.
This is
Really,
not me.
I don't want you just.
I first did this back in 2018. It was like I could see what was going on back then, so I did a video where I didn't say nothing. I just got all pictures, just pictures supporting my case. I got basically a picture of the cosmic forecast of that year, and showing that Saturn was home in Capricorn, and just the cosmic lineup. I was showing, Pizzagate scandal 2018, which led to attention to diocese and the whole Catholic Church scandals of sexual misconduct with pedophilia, all in that world. And then, so what was going to be taking place coming in 2019 was they were supposed to be like in Guantanamo Bay and shit like that. Like Hillary supposed to have had a ankle monitor on. Like all these people who was supposed to be going down. They was going to jail. And this shit just kind of went away. And everything fell on R. Kelly. I forget what year they went after Bill Cosby, but 2019, in January, they went after R. Kelly. And this was after, he was an obvious scapegoat. So I went through a video. I made a video where I just showing the pictures, supporting my case. And YouTube took my video down. Said I was bullying somebody. I'm like, bullying who? Bullying who? I had a video called R. Kelly and the Scapegoat Ritual, where I wasn't explaining in depth like I am now. Man, I'm getting into something, right? I never seen this book, but I heard of certain accusations. Jacob S. Dorman, release date March 3rd, 2020. A fault yet erudite narrative about the founder of a precursor of the Nation of Islam. The Princes and the Prophet, the secret history of magic, race, and Moorish Muslims in America. A corrective portrait of an early 19th century chameleon who became an influential Muslim leader. corrective portrait of an early chameleon. And this dense, okay, in this dense social history, dormant history and core humanities, University of Nevada, chosen people, the rise of American Black Israelite religions, 2013 makes largely non-judgmental view of Noble Drew Ali. Non-judgmental. The controversial founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, forerunner of the Nation of Islam. Despite the author's even-handed approach, Ali emerges as a con artist of unusual audacity and a prodigious feat of detective work. Dorman discovers that Ali was actually the circus musician Walter Bristner, who faked his death in 1914 with the help of his wife Eva, only to reappear years later and establish the Moorish Science Temple in Chicago. Styling himself as the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and Eva as the Grand Sheikhs, he claimed to be the reincarnation of Muhammad, preached that Black Americans were in fact Asiatics of Islamic Moorish descent. He flouted the law repeatedly. He had 4 wives simultaneously and was arrested for statutory rape, practicing medicine without a license, and the murder of an associate, a charge he beat, possibly by bribing the police. Come on, bribing the police. He made enough enemies that his death, officially attributed to tuberculosis or other causes, led some people to suspect he'd been poisoned. Of course, Dorman devotes much space to the antecedents of more science, Freemasonry, Shriners, and Orientalist tropes like harems, which makes for slow-paced narrative, but one with deep social context. He also finds Ali's legacy in the fezzes worn by some rappers and other pop cultural outcroppings. At the end, he concludes that even if all the allegations about his subject are true, there was something noble about Noble Drew Ali, given that Ali was credibly accused of murder and child rape. And special pleadings suggest that the author stumbled into the biographer's trap of falling in love with a subject who requires the clearer eye he shows elsewhere in the book. See, this is all a part of the scapegoating and the demonization of the righteous original man in America. All the enlightenment that's brought to a miseducated people. All the enlightenment that's brought to a miseducated people, they want to discredit the people who bring enlightenment. And this, what I really want to talk about is the protocol. This is a basic protocol to attack the black man, so-called black man's sexuality, and paint this picture of some type of sexual deviant. Anytime you want to discredit or villainize, like they go to the most heinous crimes that, women are going to be just irrationally, they ain't going to be trying to hear it. They not going to be trying to hear you. If you accuse them of shit, they not trying to hear you defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? You just cannot be a fucking accused. See, this harsh accusation came on to the prophet because there was a war going on within the Moorish movement back there in Chicago. It's the real internal split and murder that Claude Green. The temple was on the rise until in the late 20s when corrupt businessmen joined the Moorish American community. They embezzled a fortune from its small businesses and the Moorish Manufacturing Corporation and began to plot the prophet's death. Encyclopedia.com reported. On March 15, 1929, Drew Ali's business manager, Claude Green Bay, was murdered in Chicago. Prior to this, there had been a conflict over funds between Drew Ali and Green Bay. Claude Green Bay split from the Morrison. Green Bay split from the Moorish Science Temple of America and declared himself Grand Sheik. He took a number of members with him. Green Bay was stabbed to death at the Unity Hall of the Moorish Science Temple on Indiana Avenue in Chicago, the Chicago Tribune reported. Drew Ali was out of time at the time of the murder, but he was arrested upon his return to Chicago. No indictment was sworn for Drew Ali at the time. Green Bay's murder brought light to several love affairs Drew Ali was having. Green Bay's murder brought light to several love affairs Drew Ali was having. There were allegedly 3 women linked to him. 2 were reported to be underage, which would have meant he was guilty of statutory rape. Now, before you can clear your name, not long after his release by the police, Drew Ali died on July 20th, 1929 at age 43 at his home in Chicago. Like his early life, his death was mysterious and the exact circumstances of it are unknown. According to his death certificate, he died from tuberculosis, bronchopneumonia. Many of his followers, however, speculated that his death was accused by injuries from the police or from other members of the faith. Ann Brown. That's a good job, Ann. Now, what I noticed is, if you look up Drew Ali, he has enough respect that the very thing that was used to take him down, the accusation that was used to take him down in his time of prominence, is not really magnified in today's time. You know, you got to really look for that. But if somebody just want to discredit your belief in this whole knowledge of being Moors, you know, there's certain things they can fall on. And we can go into summary. You know, what is a scapegoat? A person who is blamed for the wrongdoings, mistakes, or faults of others, especially for reasons of expediency. A goat sent into the wilderness after the Jewish chief priest had symbolically laid the sins of the people upon it, such as in Yom Kippur, ancient Hebrews. You know, we can review scapegoats in classical antiquity. You know, you did with the concept of evil expelled into a material vessel. You know, like such as a boat or something like that. Evil is expelled into animals. Evil expelled in human beings, where a human being is used as the scapegoat. And we go into who's the perfect candidate of scapegoat for a particular reason. R. Kelly was the perfect scapegoat. Human scapegoat in classical antiquity. A scapegoat, as opposed to a surrogate, is an animal or human being used in public ceremonies to remove the taint or impairment consequent upon sin, which for one reason or another can not be settled upon a particular individual. Used in public ceremonies to remove the taint or impairment consequent upon sin. This is for a whole society. R. Kelly was the scapegoat for the pedophilic society that we live in. As if you lock him up, you locked away pedophilia. And the shit's still going on low-key though. Because I showed you how those priests get protected. In dioceses, in politicians, they get protected. While you a scapegoat, a black man. Going into the point I was making about a pedophilic society, right? It's a book that says, like, the level of entertainment in society, all forms of entertainment is kept at a 6th grade level. The 6th grade level is 12-year-old mentality. You know what I'm saying? So you, in the general society with Disney and just rated G, PG, is to keep the mental on a 12-year-old level. You know what I'm saying? I came up where I went to the movies with my mother and my father, and they had me on. We watched what they wanted to watch. So you gotta be mature. You know, you gotta develop a maturation when watching entertainment, because we had expectations for maturity. You know, what society builds an expectation of immaturity, and they call it innocence. But you know, you don't want your child to lose their innocence, but you just making them dumb. Yeah, Clintons and all these people, and they got sex and death cults. You know, they was being exposed. You know, in the age of information, they was being exposed to the general public. Shit going viral, and they had to do damage control, and they had to just go into the ancient ritual of sacrifice, but they needed a big one. They need a big goat. R. Kelly was just the perfect candidate. You know what I'm saying? He's a perfect candidate. And my thing is, you know, yeah, you know, I hope you see what it is. So there you have it. There you have it. R. Kelly and the ScapeGoat ritual. That's how it's done.
Y'all quit playing. Quit playing. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life.
You should stop that.
Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me. You're killing me, man. This ain't not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Oh, y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
Have thee quiet.